Thanks, Desiree. The Western Cape, the province, the city of Cape Town, is the stronghold of the DA. This is where the party launched its manifesto in September, and now the closing rally again is here in the city of Cape Town. What we know, Desiree, is that there are no official polls that have been done this time around. We know that in the previous elections, Ipsos would do polls to indicate which party is going to win what and so on. But this time around, there is no official information like that. Instead, political parties have been doing their own internal polls to establish where do they stand in these municipalities. And some political analysts are saying that coalition are going to be the way to go, especially after this local government election, that there might be a number of metros that there would be no outright majority on. But to talk to us more about the DA's program for today, I am joined by National Spokesperson Siviwe Gwarube. Good morning, Siviwe.
Good morning, Lulama.
Tell us about today's event.
Look, this is the culmination of obviously the work that we've been doing for the past several weeks in this election campaign. This is Cape Town's final rally where the DA leader and the mayoral candidate, Jordan Hill-Lewis, will be addressing the supporters here. Ultimately, this is for us to say that, to reinforce our message to the people of Cape Town. Say yes, independent indices are all confirming that Cape Town is one of the best run governments in the country. However, we are not simply stopping there. We want to do more because, of course, there is room to improve. Of course, there is room for us to be able to say, where can we improve the lived experiences of the people of Cape Town? So that is really the message that we've been saying that's in our manifesto, that this is obviously a record of delivery, but a promise of more, because we can't stop until every single citizen in the city of Cape Town really is feeling the DA difference.
Going forward after these elections, let's talk coalitions. Which parties is the DA willing to work with?
Look, Lulama, the thing is, I mean, every political party that goes into an election into an election with the sole intention of winning. And whether it is in Cape Town or Tshwane or City of Joburg or NMB, we are going there asking the citizens of those cities to give us a full majority. Because we are of the view that while coalitions have worked, the reality is that they are difficult to manage. And often they can be a stop-start approach where we've seen, for instance, in the city of Tshwane, where we were illegally removed from council and then brought back last year. So really our message to people is that give us a full majority so that we can give you full 5 years of DA delivery. However, of course, we're not ruling out the prospect of coalition. So if we are in a position where we have to be in coalition, we will only go into coalition governments with parties that really share the core values of the Democratic Alliance and are putting forward the intention and the priority of serving the people of that municipality. And so those will be conversations that we will be going into as soon as the votes are counted, as soon as the results are in, and then we will see and sit around the table with various parties to say, are you the parties that share these core values of delivery, of no intolerance to corruption, non-racialism, and putting the people of that municipality first?
Are there parties that are a definite no-no?
Look, I mean, the Democratic Alliance leader has made it quite clear that, for instance, a party like the EFF has made it very clear that they have no intention of really coalescing around the shared values. But again, I mean, our view here is that go into an election with the purpose of winning outright and then sit around the decision-making table with various parties to say, these are our 4 non-negotiables on our side. We don't want corruption where we govern. We want real service delivery where we govern. And if parties can come around those values, then we're willing to have the conversation with them.
Have you done your own internal polls that perhaps indicate which metros are you likely to win with majority, which metros are likely to be hanging in the balance?
Look, we're continuously doing our research around our support levels so that we can make sure that we are doing everything we can to have a positive outcome at the end of this election campaign. As we said right at the beginning, we've got our key measures that we're focusing on. We've got NMB that we are really putting the work in. We've got obviously retaining the city of Cape Town, retaining Midvaal, Umgeni municipality in KZN, Tshwane metro in Gauteng, city of Ekurhuleni, city of Johannesburg. Those are the metros and the cities and the towns that we are gunning for and putting a lot of resources, because we believe that we've done it before, but we need a full majority from the people of those metros.
What's the DA's position in terms of where there are coalition governments and there's non-delivery of issues? Who should be held responsible for non-delivery of services in areas, in municipalities where there are coalition governments?
Look, you see, and this is exactly why we say that what we want is a full majority. So that when the people, for instance, the people of Tshwane say to us, there are issues here, then we know that we must take full accountability because we are the government in that metro. And that's why we're saying to people, give us a full majority for the next 5 years, so that not only do we make sure that we really put our efforts into delivering, but also equally we can be held accountable where there's non-delivery, so that equally we can be the ones responsible for removing councillors who aren't performing and the like. Because you see, in a coalition government it's very, very difficult because there are a lot of moving parts, and so as a result, voters at the end of a 5-year term can either then say this entire coalition government didn't work, and it's very difficult then to delineate who will be responsible for what. That's why our intention here is to go with a full majority into this election campaign.
In municipalities and metros where the DA is in total control, what issues have been raised are being raised by voters that are a concern to them, or non-delivery issues that they are saying the DA is not doing?
Look, I mean, and that's why, Lulama, right at the beginning I said, while independent indices, Auditor General Service Delivery indices are saying where the DA governs, the top 5 municipalities belong to the DA. But that's not where you stop, because ultimately that then becomes a theoretical exercise. Ultimately, you've got to make sure that you get to the nub of where the people are and say to yourselves that we've got to improve where we govern. So, for instance, in the city of Cape Town, one of the key priorities that Jordan Hill-Lewis, the mayoral candidate, is focusing on is social housing as a massive issue, to say that we've got to make sure that there's pockets of land in well-located areas close to economic opportunities, so that more and more people can have access to those pieces of land, and they can have access to social housing. So that's one of the big priorities that he's going to be prioritizing in this term of office, because of course it's something that we continuously have to improve on, because as urbanization happens and as more and more people move to the city centers, we've got to be able to cater for them in decent, dignified housing. The other issue, which is a big issue, for instance, here where we are today, is the issue of safety. And that's why both the city and the province are going to be working very hard to make sure that there's a lot of powers delineated to local authorities, so that we can make sure that we've got a lot of power to try and protect communities here. Again, while we're doing everything we can, there's room for improvement. And we can't simply say to voters who've got those issues, oh, but we are simply the best. So that's why we are saying we're going to push hard and even harder in the next coming term.
Thank you very much, Siviwe. That was the DA National Spokesperson, Siviwe Gwarube. With that, back to you at the studio.